Are we ready, Sam?
Yeah, almost. Like 30 seconds or so. I don't have a moment of silence.
Okay. Okay, let's do this thing. It's 9 a.m. It's a beautiful day. Let's call this meeting of the Lake County Board of Supervisors to order. So you want to have a moment of silence?
Yes, I do.
Supervisor Crandall.
So wanted to dedicate this moment of silence to Eileen Brown of Upper Lake, one of the last tribal elders of the Upper Lake tribe, recently passed. They'll be having services Thursday, and so just wanted to offer that moment of silence.
Supervisor Sabatier.
Sorry, I didn't have my official pen out. Wanted to do a moment of silence for Philip Dean Adamson. Passed away on December 19th. Phil Adamson was born in San Francisco, but that's because we didn't have a hospital here at that time in 1937. Lived in the Lower Lake area, eventually became the chief after volunteering a long amount of time at the fire department down in Lower Lake. And he is the reason, he owned a ranch in Lower Lake, and he's the reason we used to have cow chip bingo. If anybody's been, it's definitely a memorable moment as you're patiently waiting for the cow to do its thing. He will be missed. He leaves behind family who still is highly involved in the community of Lower Lake, and just wanted to have a moment of silence for Philip today.
One more. And of course, we lost a late, great president, Jimmy Carter, recently, 100 years old. And in these divisive times, it kind of stands out. He was not the most popular president back in the day, but after his presidency, his legacy only grew through his commitment to Habitat for Humanity and so many other important causes. They don't make them like that anymore. So a moment of silence for President Carter. Thank you for that moment of silence. We'll now do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing. Asher Paiska, would you please lead us?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Asher. Are there any extra items that don't appear on the posted agenda today?
I have no extra items.
Any items from the board? Seeing nothing, we'll move on to item 5, approval of the consent agenda. Does anybody on the board wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? I see items 5.1 through 5.7. I don't see any pens. We do have anyone from the public, including 2 brand new supervisors, wish to pull anything from the consent agenda. If not, we will act upon them as one item, as they are expected to be non-controversial. Seeing no movement in the chambers and nothing from the board, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda items 5.1 through 5.7.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, we plowed through 1 through 5 very quickly. Our 6.1 timed item, 9 a.m. Remarks from outgoing supervisors. That would be you and me, Mr. Simon. Do we have any remarks from outgoing supervisor Simon?
Yeah, just want to thank everybody who supported me throughout my 2 terms. I want to thank the community for giving me an opportunity to represent Lake County. The other thing is, too, I want to thank all of the employees here in Lake County. I've been a staunch supporter and will continue to be. Please know that you guys do the hard work. I've said that. We set up here in a diocese, but I can't thank you enough for the hard work that is done from all the administration, all the way down to all of our employees here in Lake County. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you. I'm an outgoing supervisor too, so some comments. especially to our new incoming. We wear several hats up here every given day, but at least three. And one would be to represent the constituency. The two would be to represent the fine workforce of Lake County. And finally, to represent the municipal corporation that is the county itself, financial interests and what have you. Hundreds of millions of dollars flow through the county of Lake to provide services to our residents and to our visitors and our businesses. And so when we sit up here on the dais, as I have for the last 2 years, sometimes we're balancing those interests. We do take into account very much all the input from the community, but sometimes we have to think about other things like the law. It has been my privilege to serve as county supervisor for District 4 since October of 2022. I do want to thank county administrative staff and all the department heads for their support, patience, and understanding during my brief yet rewarding term. I also want to extend my thanks and deep appreciation to you and all of the hardworking employees of the county of Lake, regardless of your job title or length of county service. This amazing workforce consistently rises above and beyond their assigned work duties, especially during times of public emergency. Equally as important are your contributions to serving our communities on a day-to-day basis. This core commitment is the county's strength. Finally, learning to listen to and appreciate the views of others is essential in this job. County government is not a food fight at a high school cafeteria. We don't spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year just to let residents, visitors, and businesses fend for themselves. We look for ways to lift people up at all times. That's why principles of diversity, equity, inclusion are essential to Lake County, its workforce, and its people, meaning all of its people. Everyone can play a role in healing trauma and building bridges of understanding, whether on the job, at school, or in the community. Active listening skills, respect, and empathy are the most powerful tools in your toolbox. Wield those tools early and often. Thank you for that. And with that little saga over, we turn to our 6.2 item, 9:01 a.m., administer the oath of office
Chair?
to
Want to open it up for public?
Oh, good. Anyone want to comment on the comments we just made? They're like, no, get these people moving. Thank you, though. Thank you, Vice Chair. We'll move to our 9:01 a.m. item. A, administer oath of office to District 1 Supervisor Helen Owen. B, administer oath of office to District 4 Supervisor Brad Rasmussen. C, administer the oath of office to District 5 Supervisor Jessica Peiska. And D, administer the oath of office to Sheriff Coroner Lucas Bingham. I understand we're going to do this in a 4-pack. I see you, Registrar of Voters Maria Valadez in the audience. Individually?
I would recommend individually so that we can have photos with the families.
Oh my gosh. Do you see what the chair puts up with? Okay. All right. Let's start off then with District 1 Supervisor Helen Owen, as she is the first item listed. Would you please come up and let's do this oath thing. Microphone.
See if I do.
Raise your right hand. You can go ahead and repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Helen Owen,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California
of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution
to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California,
of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon the
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, we have to do the election first.
I was ready to get out of here.
I don't know.
No, we have to do the election first. Oh, yeah, please have a seat up front. We got one more item where we need everyone here. B, Brad Rasmussen.
See, it's all collaborative work here. Morning.
Morning.
I'll have you repeat after me, and I'll have you say and state your name.
I, Brad Rasmussen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter. Thank you. I can move.
Sorry.
Item C, Jessica Paiska.
Good morning. I'll have you repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Jessica Paiska,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of
and
California,
the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental
or
reservation
purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter. Thank you.
Oh, there he is. He must have been sitting. Item D, we're going to administer the oath of office to Sheriff Coroner Lucas Bingham.
No? Please repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Lucas Bingham,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter. Thank you.
No, CAO Parker, I want to be very sensitive. So now we can take public input, photo ops, whatever. It's a free-for-all. It's Tuesday. Let's just have some fun. Anyone need photo ops? We did swear them in yesterday during the official swearing in. Any public input? Okay. Supervisor Pyska. Oh, photo op.
Oh, so sorry.
Now it's done. That'll get Sam.
Okay, oh, good, oh, good. Oh, that's great. Oh, let's do one more. Thank you.
Okay, one more. Thank you. All right.
Group. More photos, less photos, fewer photos? Okay. We don't need no stinking photos. Okay.
I'm good.
Everyone's good? Oh, Sam's coming up. Well, how about one of the outgoing board? I'm proud of this board.
I would like to get one with the outgoing board, and then the outgoing board, and the new board, and then the new board. Okay.
Sam runs this show. Let's do it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, geez, I gotta take him in there.
What?
You are, I wasn't. Okay, here we go. Let's do one more. There, thanks.
And the new board?
You're supposed to stay, it's,
Okay, so new board, and all board. All board.
the whole board.
The whole board. Where do you want me? Here?
Going in.
Oh, that looks great. Okay, good job. Okay, let's do one more. There, okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, and now the new board. And- Oh, good, thank you. Gonna have you train.
Good. Thank you.
All right, don't go anywhere. Stay right there. We're going to do an election, and then we're going to get you up here. I am told we have name plaques and everything. Excellent. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how we do a peacefully orderly transition of power. It's a beautiful thing. Our 9:02 a.m. item 6.3, the election of the chair of the Board of Supervisors and the vice chair of the Board of Supervisors for 2025. I am the outgoing chair. I will conduct this election, but I will take nominations from any actual 2025 board members.
I nominate Supervisor Crandall to be chair.
I second that nomination.
Do we second nominations? I think we just have to accept the nomination.
Oh, I think,
right?
no, I thought
You
we seconded.
second?
I remember seconding.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. And the
I
other,
accept. I think that's why.
Oh, wait.
County Council.
Without public comment, your board may want to take public comment with it.
Nah, no, okay. Should we get any other nominations before we do that?
You could.
Okay, are there any other nominations for chair? Hearing none, we'll turn to the public. Vice Chair E.J. Crandall has been nominated to be chair of the 2025 board. Anyone in the public wish to comment on that here in the chambers? Do we have anyone in the Zoom room? Do we have a Zoom room? No hands raised in Zoom. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a new chair. We'll now accept nominations for vice chair for the 2025 Board of Supervisors.
Can I nominate?
Absolutely.
Brad?
You nominate Brad Rasmussen for vice chair of the Board of Supervisors. Are there any other
I
nominations?
have a comment though. According to our board policy, you have to have 1 year to be vice chair
Vice or chair,
or
yeah.
chair.
Vice chair or chair?
But it's in our board policy, but it is.
I believe it's.
just read it.
I don't believe it's a hard shall not.
Okay.
It definitely recommends, I think. It doesn't, it's not a hard stop.
All right, let's look to staff. This is where they put their heads together and they talk. But-
So it appears that under the policies, it's not a hard recommendation as far as who can initiate the motion for nomination. Is that right?
It's actually who can serve as chair and vice chair.
We'll tell you what, while we're mulling over the intricacies of our board policies, such as they are there any other nominations that would be considered for the vice chair? Because that may actually trump any procedures here.
I think we have to wait on.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So the nomination can proceed as presented.
Okay, second.
All right. We have a first and a second. Anyone, and we have a nomination for Brad Rasmussen to serve as vice chair for the 2025 board. Anyone in the chambers wish to comment on this? Anyone in the Zoom room? Bring it back to the board.
I think we actually need a name, right? No? When they speak? Okay.
All right, we have a hand raised from somebody on the Zoom room. The item before us today is the pending nomination of Brad Rasmussen to be elected as vice chair for the 2025 board. Do you have a comment?
Yes, I would like to nominate another candidate.
Don't believe members from the public would be entitled to make nominations, but I'll look over at staff very quickly. Yes, it's only for sitting board members who may make nominations for the chair and vice chair. So although I appreciate the input, we will not take a nomination from members of the public. And that will conclude comments. All right, we have accepted public input such as it was. We have a nomination. There were no other nominations made for the vice chair I'm aware of. County Council.
Yes, if I may, board, all right, so we did find one rule under the county's policies and procedures, which states that a member shall not be elected to serve as chair unless he or she has been a member of the board for the preceding calendar year. So in this case, it is a nomination for the vice chair, but in terms, in situations where the vice chair will need to take the position of a chair if the chair of the board is not available, there is a requirement under the county's policies and procedures upon further review that that whoever's sitting as a chair must be a member of the board for the preceding calendar year. So in that, in reading that language, it appears that your board may consider other nominations for the vice chair in light of that clause.
So are you wondering what it means? Because I think
Well,
if I'm not here and he has to be vice chair, according to the policy, He would take chair, but because of that policy, wouldn't be able to, is that what, that's
Correct, because there's a pre-requirement here, and the word used as shall, for the preceding, calendar year. That the person who is taking over as chair, even in moments of substituting, if the chair is not available, the vice chair taking over as chair would have to, have been a member for the preceding calendar year in order to take that position. The other alternative.
I would say that my comment would be this. Guess what? These whole board policies are coming back for a fresh polish job in the spring anyway. I would say that particular clause, the most strict application, yes. But if we wanted to be that strict in that application, we should have added the term vice chair to that same clause. Neither the chair nor the vice chair.
And your board also has that option. I believe if in the event that specific situation arises and and for whatever reason the vice chair is not able to take the position temporarily of the chair, then there are other alternative procedures that can be taken in place in which other board members can preside over the chair position for that moment in time, temporarily. So there are alternative procedures in place.
Okay.
Believe it or not, we do have policies and procedures and rules that we try to follow on occasion when we read them. And, okay, but I see as the sitting chair and as my outgoing act, I don't think the strict application is necessary in this point. And I do know we're going to be examining those board policies in the spring, so that'd be a great time for this new board to dive in and clean that up as needed. And most importantly, we don't have any other nominations. So without any further discussion, are we ready to take a vote? Yes? All right. The motion is to seat Brad Rasmussen as Vice Chair of the 2025 Board of Supervisors. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. We have a new chair and a vice chair, and it's time to move on.
So as we move on to 6.4, I'm going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break so everybody can visit with their family and whatnot, and then we'll come back at 9:35, 9:36 or so. You know, that way everyone can have their time.
Good job, Chief.
Ready? We're good? All right, next item on the agenda is 6.4, or 903, election of chair and vice chair of the Lake County Local Board of Equalization for 2025.
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Chair Crandall as chair and Vice Chair Rasmussen as vice chair of the Lake County Board of Equalization for 2025.
So I have a motion and a second, but what I'll first do is, are there any other
Second.
comments? Oh, yeah, I thought I heard the second. So
It was
with that, yeah, with that, I'll open up to public input. If there's anyone that has a comment in the chambers, not seeing any, bring it back to the board, and I'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We will now move on to our 6.5, 904 item, election of chair and vice chair of the Lake County In-Home Supportive Services
Wait.
Public. I'll take that back.
You did. Okay.
We're good.
All right, 6.5, sitting as the Lake County In-Home Supportive Services Board. Election of, Board of Directors. Election of the chair and vice chair of the Lake County In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority Board of Directors for 2025. Any dis- Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move that we, or I nominate? Okay, yeah. Nominate Chair Crandall as chair and Vice Chair Rasmussen as vice chair of Lake County In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority Board for, Board of Directors for 2025.
I second that.
And I will go ahead and open it up to the public for any comments. Any on Zoom? Bring it back to the board for action. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Next is our 905, which is reappoint members of the Lake County Planning Commission for a 2-year term. A, reappoint District 2 Commissioner Everardo Chavez Perez. C, reappoint District 3 Commissioner Batulwin Brown. And D, reappoint District 5 Commissioner Sharon Zoller. Any discussion on this before we get started?
I appreciate the continuity at the Planning Commission and continuing with the 3 that were there.
Thank you. I do too. All right, so we'll start with, well, actually, I'll open it up for the public for any comments. And then we'll go ahead and start with A, reappoint District 2 Commissioner Everardo Chavez Perez.
Mr. Chair, I move to reappoint District 2 Commissioner Everardo Chavez Perez.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. And if someone can conduct the motion for my district planning commissioner, I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, I move to reappoint District 3 Commissioner Batulwan A. Brown to the Planning Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. And then D.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Sharon Zoller as District 5 Planning Commissioner.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Did I miss anything? All right, good. Making
No.
sure. All right, 6.7 is our public input. With public input, we will take any statement that citizen puts a request in for. Just know that anything that's stated in this format or this session or this item on the agenda, the board will not be giving any sort of insight to it because it's not on the agenda and we have to do the public notice of it in case we take something up during this item. So just know we're not trying to ignore your concern. We'll more than likely connect you either with your supervisor or with one of the staff or directors that can help you with what you're discussing or talking about. So first and foremost, I know that I have, and you also have 3 minutes to say what you would like to talk about. And so first I have Haji Wharf. If you'd like to come up and express your public input.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Haji Wharf from Upper Lake, and I come before you with a matter of urgency, and I'm sorry to address something serious on a day of celebration. I apologize. I ask for your attention to be directed on the bird flu, also referred to as highly pathogenic avian influenza, or H5N1, and putting in place safeguards for our community. Yesterday, the CDC announced the first death from bird flu in the U.S. Last month, the gentleman in Louisiana had handled sick and dying chickens in his flock and contracted the virus. He succumbed after languishing in the ICU ward on a ventilator. I come with hopes the county has a plan in place for when, not if, the bird flu is detected in Lake County. I say when because Clear Lake is a magnet for migratory waterfowl, which are major carriers of the bird flu. I feel it's just a matter of time before the virus shows itself. I have a few suggestions and hope the county already has these measures under review. Number 1, set up a hotline for reporting dead birds or waterfowl or any displaying symptoms, such as swimming in circles while throwing their heads. Neurologic symptoms are the first signs of bird flu. Number 2, put in place a task force charged with raising public awareness about the bird flu and cautioning the public to stay away from sick, dead, or dying birds. Number 3, designate staff who will be responsible for retrieving these birds and provide the budget for proper training and appropriate PPE, such as disposable hazmat suits, full face masks, gloves, disinfectant, and also nets for scooping dead birds out of the lake. Safely handling virus-infected birds is critical, as even the bird droppings in the area of an infected bird contain the virus. Number 4, dedicate an incinerator site for disposal of carcasses. Burying birds suspected of having bird flu is not a good idea, as the virus lives in the soil for weeks. I'm sure there are many other actions that could be taken to protect our community from the bird flu, but I feel these measures would be a good start. I feel strongly the county must have a plan in place for coping with the bird flu instead of just winging it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Haji. All right, is there anyone else in the chambers that has a comment? I noticed that there was a letter from somebody, okay, Betsy, did you want to comment on this? I know you're on Zoom.
Yes, thank you so much. This is Betsy Kahn for the Essential Public Information Center and as one of KPFZ's longtime public affairs journalists. I want to thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and welcome our new supervisors and sheriff. I'm speaking today on behalf of a multitude of residents, stakeholders, community activists, reporters, volunteers, and professional staff at all agencies who are active participants in our local governance. My letter to you, which is included in the online agenda package for the members of the public who might want to read it, reflects the garnered wisdom of your committees and community organizations working together with our valued public servants. My recommendations support the vision of the future that was created in 2018, just as we were coming out of 3 years of catastrophic disasters. That vision now informs the development of our next 20-year general plan. We fully support the goals and principles established 7 years ago in Vision 2028. Supervisor Pyska was instrumental in strengthening those aspirations, and we hope to continue the achievement of mutual successes and effective resource management together. Thank you so much for your time. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Betsy. Is there anyone else online? All right. If you would turn your mic on and please state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Julia Bono.
Okay. You have 3 minutes.
I have sent an email to the Lake County Board, CCing the Lake County Board of Supervisors and the new elects. And I would like to read it now before the board.
All right.
Okay, it contains a formal complaint and request for review of the Middletown Area Town Hall election nomination procedures and board member representation. Dear Board of the Mass Municipal Advisory Council and interested parties, I hope this message finds you well. I am writing to bring to your attention and formally complain about two serious issues regarding the Middletown Area Town Hall, or MATH, and its board election procedures that I believe justify a formal and urgent review due to the close proximity of the upcoming MATH board elections on January 9th. Firstly, during the most recent MATH meeting on December 12th, 2024, a misrepresentation occurred with significant implications for the fairness of the upcoming board member election. The chair, Monica Rosenthal, initially announced that nominations were closed, as shown on the official PEG TV YouTube video at around the 1 hour and 40-minute mark. However, approximately 20 minutes later, the chair falsely claimed that nominations were still open, and an additional nomination was accepted before the chair again closed nominations. This sequence of events has raised concerns about the transparency and fairness of the election process. When I quickly brought this issue to the Math Council's attention as a point of order, the chair failed to take corrective action by declining the new nomination and honoring her initial closure of nominations. Since the Math Council operates under the Brown Act, it is imperative that we maintain transparency, honesty, and integrity in all our procedures to ensure public trust. To uphold these standards, I propose that the procedures followed and the misrepresentations made to the attending public by the chair be reviewed, and that corrective and disciplinary action be taken to ensure fairness and integrity in the election process. Secondly, it was noted at the last meeting that the 2 board member seats for the Middletown proper region are being vacated and are up for election. However, a document entitled Math 2025 Election Process Overview, which I was told by the Math Secretary Ken Gonzalez was prepared by Chair Monica Rosenthal, was circulated to the Math email audience on January 3rd. This document indicates that only 1 seat for the Middletown proper region will be available for election, with the other open seat allocated to the at-large region. This change violates Section 2 of the Math bylaws, which require 2 Middletown proper representatives to sit on the Math board at all times. If allowed to proceed, this incorrect election process would leave the Middletown proper region seriously underrepresented at a crucial time in our small town's history that requires strong and outspoken representation. The Brown Act requires that the Math Board maintain fair and equitable representation for all regions, including included in the Middletown area, which is centered on the Middletown proper region, to ensure public trust and effective governance.
If you could
To
wrap up your
uphold these
comments.
standards,
We're at
I
3
propose
minutes.
that the erroneous allocation of board member seats mentioned in the election process overview document be reviewed and the necessary adjustments made to ensure that the Middletown proper region is adequately represented by 2 board members
All right,
as the Math
ma'am,
laws
we need
bylaws
to
dictate.
close up now.
I have one more paragraph. May I read it?
No, we have to stop. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to submit that, I know you've submitted it via email. We'll go ahead and look for that last paragraph in that email. Thank you very much.
Okay, and can I get the board's assurance that it will take action on this letter?
We can't give you that. It's public input, so we can't really talk about that. So any longer, it's not on the agenda. So thank you for your comments.
How should I expect to receive a response?
Look for your emails, ma'am. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and see if there's any other public input. Not seeing anyone in the chambers. All right. We'll go on to the next item, which is our 9:30, and we're a little past it. Presentation of proclamation designating the month of January 2025 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Lake County. Who wants to do it? All right. All right. If you're here on behalf, would like to be a part of this proclamation, please come on up.
You see them trying to stay sitting?
Hello, hello.
Everybody here?
Board of Supervisors, County of Lake, State of California proclamation designating the month of January 2025 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Lake County. Whereas human trafficking is a serious crime that affects people of all races, age, and gender, and whereas human trafficking is a borderless crime against individuals that violates the most basic human rights and deprives victims of human dignity and denies freedom to 32 million people around the world. And whereas human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal industry globally, and whereas California ranks first among the states in the number of potential reports of human trafficking, and whereas a serious form of human trafficking involves the exploration of children and youth for commercial sex acts, it is imperative that our young people and their families learn how to recognize risks and resist predators who use coercion and threats to manipulate children and young adults into sex and labor trafficking. And whereas Lake Family Resource has been instrumental in leading the way in the County of Lake in addressing human trafficking by providing 24-hour hotline services and continuing support and advocacy and accompaniment to survivors. And whereas preventing human trafficking in Lake County must include active public and private efforts to help recognize and acknowledge existence. And it is time to start conversations, take appropriate action, and support one another to create a safer environment for all residents. And whereas many organizations such as the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office, Lakeport Police Department, Clear Lake Police Department, our 7 local Pomo tribes, and Lake Family Resource Center are committed to ending human trafficking in Lake County and provide essential crisis intervention and prevention services to all members of our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the month of January 2025 is designated as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Lake County, and our community is urged to support the efforts of the agencies assisting victims in human trafficking, and urges all local governments, schools, businesses, community members, and others to be aware and report any suspicious activity to local police departments, sheriff's office, all law enforcement, and help shine the light on trafficking. Passed and adopted this 7th day of January 2025, signed by the County of Lake Chair of the Board of Supervisors, E.J. Crandall. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah. Need that mic. Okay, thank you. All right, my name is Kara Roberts, and I'm the program coordinator of our human trafficking program. I have 2 advocates that work in my program. We have Jessica Layton and Blanca Pantaleon. And between the 3 of us in the last 5 years, we have done over 8,000 services to people here in our community that are dealing with trafficking. So I want to thank the supervisors and new ones and the standing ones. Thank you for your continued support, bringing awareness to this. If anybody would like to reach out, we have our contact information there, and we can provide trainings as needed. Okay, thank you.
Don't go anywhere yet.
Stay there.
We got to do a picture.
We brought magnets for you guys to put on your cars.
All right.
Oh, great.
Would there be anyone else that wanted to speak?
Oh, just me today.
Just you, huh? Anybody from the board? Oh, there you go, Supervisor Sabatier.
I want to speak on a couple of things. Coincidentally, Chair Crandall and myself had a meeting with our victims advocates with Lake County regarding their budget and what's called VOCA, basically, is federal funding to help victim advocates, the importance of victim advocacy. People who are found to be involved, it is a workload to eventually get them to trust to wanting to actually say the things that they need to say so we can actually put people behind bars who are doing this, because they are so intimidated, they are so humiliated, they are so brainwashed and scared to say things that I don't know that we understand the level of need and the level of applause that we need to provide to our victim advocates and the hard work that they do to get people to speak up in order to stop these things from happening. And coincidentally enough, after we had that conversation with our victims advocates group, I'm part of the administration of justice for the California State Association, and that was our topic, and it was the most gut-wrenching topic. We saw videos of how people are being picked up. We saw videos of what happens to those people when they try to go away. The things we don't see are haunting, but they exist. And I thank you very much for the work that you do, because you do work in a place that I don't think people recognize exists, and it exists right here in our community. And it's something that definitely gave me more education on and acknowledgement. But I know that you guys have been working hard for, I want to say, at least a decade, if not longer, that I'm aware of that you've been working on this. I only became aware of it, I think it was Don Anderson who was the district attorney, and there was a play regarding human trafficking, and that's when I became aware of the services that were being done through Lake Family Resources. But again, I applaud you for your work. It is scary what happens out there, but this is why we have good people in our communities that do what we do. So thank you.
For your time and commitment to learn more. That's important.
Supervisor Rasmussen?
Yes, I just wanted to thank and commend Lake Family Resources for their work in not only this area of human trafficking, but all the other victim services that they provide throughout the year. I was fortunate to have been involved with Lake Family Resources since probably they were in existence over 30 years ago, and also involved with them when they started this human trafficking effort some years ago. And I just want to commend them for that leadership role in taking this on in our county. Thank you.
So I'll go ahead. I know that my first year as a supervisor in my district, I stopped at one of the stores, and a gentleman had continuously been, I guess, venting to me about how he was mistreated and how he got here from, I think it was either India or Pakistan, and he was stripped of his ID and his passport and all of that stuff. And it reminded me of Korea. When I was in Korea in the Army, they would coax women to come from different countries to be entertainers to come to Korea, and they would strip them of their passports as well and wouldn't let them leave. And so when I seen that in the United States, I was like, wow, so it happens. And then there's other ways it happens, even just like from the Bay Area. They send people up here and they groom women and they find people that are down and out and convince them that there's a better life to do these other things, and then eventually it becomes that. And so the work that you're doing is very important. But the other thing about it was I let law enforcement know about it, and I just know that within 2 or 3 weeks he was gone. So I knew that he probably went back home. And so I'm pretty sure you all had some involvement with that too. So just want to say it's so important. If anybody sees or feels like this is happening, please reach out to Lake Family Resources. So thank you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Did you have anything else, or is there anyone from the public that'd like to come up and speak? Anyone on Zoom? All right, we'll go ahead and take our picture.
Okay, are you all smiling?
Yes.
Okay. Let me make sure. Okay, because I can't see. One more. Oh, there I got it. Okay, thank you.
I know. I take up a lot of room when I'm sitting.
Ooh, come on, let's see here. All right, next, we don't have anything until 11 when it comes to time items, so we will go ahead and look to take up.
Chair, I have both Matthew Rothstein here for 7.3 and Ben Rickelman for 7.4.
So we will go ahead and take
start
up
there.
7.3, consideration of letter of support for the public-private partnership to improve forest health and resilience in Napa and Lake Counties project, CAL FIRE Forest Health Grant Program. And the floor is Matthew Rothstein. Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisors. Matthew Rothstein, Chief Deputy County Administrative Officer. I'm presenting this morning for Terry Logston, who serves as our Chief Climate Resiliency Officer. Lake County Resource Conservation District is seeking a letter of support for Napa County Resource Conservation District's application to the CAL FIRE Forest Health Grant Program. This application would support funding for the public-private partnerships to improve forest health and resilience in Napa and Lake County's project. Our understanding is since Napa County RCD is the lead agency for the grant, they were seeking projects that would border planned projects in Napa County. And this project calls for 800 plus acres of vegetation management projects in total, in areas including 200 plus acres of fuels reduction and oak woodland restoration work at Lake County's Six Sigma Ranch. A variety of ecologically minded methods are expected to be employed for the work. Lake County Resource Conservation District is engaged as a partner in this project, and Julia Sullivan, Executive Director for the RCD, is present in Zoom to answer any questions that your board may have. And Chief Climate Resiliency Officer Logston recommends your board approve this letter of support and authorize Chair Crandall to sign. Thank you, board.
All right, thank you. Is there any comments from the board? Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I do have a question. What amount of resources is Six Sigma putting into this project, or is it entirely public funds dealing with private property?
Ms. Sullivan, are you able to speak to that?
Yeah, happy to. Thank you for the question and the opportunity to be here. So Six Sigma, the scope of work that we're proposing in this grant would cover the implementation in its entirety across 200 plus acres at Six Sigma Ranch, which is privately owned, but has a large sort of public access component, which is part of why we selected the property because it worked well in combination with those located in Napa County. But importantly, Six Sigma, as part of this project, is committing to carrying out follow-up maintenance activities in the form of broadcast and prescribed burning on the property to maintain the treatments that we complete with this funding. So that is a significant commitment by the landowner to kind of serve as landowner match. We're actually still figuring out exactly what the value, the sort of cost estimate of that activity would be, but again, it's a significant commitment of time, coordinating with a burn boss and implementing that prescribed burn probably within a couple years of project implementation. So that is what Six Sigma is committing to as the landowner.
I appreciate the response, and this has been something I've been thinking about since I've read through the letter of, I understand the proximity to the Napa projects, and that's why that was chosen. But at the same time, I can't help but feel like if you own a large amount of land, you're probably going to get helped out a whole lot more than if you own a very small amount of land but still need to be protected from fires. And I don't know that how I feel about, well, I know how I feel about that. I'm very disturbed that that's so easy for us to be able to bring it here and make that happen. And if there was a matching amount that was provided by Six Sigma saying, here's what you're going to get from this grant and here's how much you're going to be putting in, I would feel a whole lot better. But by not putting anything and just future promises, which also sounds like it's maybe going to continue to be a public-private partnership for those future promises, in my opinion, just based on what you just said, I don't know that I can support this without better understanding, because to me, public-private partnerships is we're going to work with a private enterprise to do a service to help the community. In this sense, this really, really helps out one specific private not just property, but also a business as well. And I get it that they do bring in a lot of public people, but it's still bringing the public into a private business. So I feel like I need a better understanding of what kind of relationships we can build in this way. But it just makes me nervous as to what kind of can of worms we're opening, and if somebody approaches us with a 50 by 100 lot, that we just say, sorry, we can't support that. I don't know. I feel I need to have responsibility of my entire property, and I shouldn't rely on government to protect me from fires, and I need to do it. And so I guess I'm putting my own personal opinion towards other properties and how we're going to do that. So today, I don't feel that I can support this.
Did she have a response? I know you're next. Ma'am? Julia, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I'd love to respond to that. I really appreciate that perspective, and I completely do see and understand your concern, and I would love to just describe a little bit more kind of why we were inclined to pursue this opportunity in working with Napa RCD. So in addition to kind of the alignment with the properties that Napa RCD is going to be treating in Napa County, there were a couple other things that made this an attractive opportunity for, excuse me, Lake RCD. So one of them is that we know that this is likely to be an incredibly competitive round of CAL FIRE Forest Health grant funding. It's a reduced pool as compared to previous years. And the RCD actually already has planning funding secured to complete CEQA at the property, which is not true for any other kind of locations within Lake County at this time, just in terms of the funding that we already have. That we know that CAL FIRE is more likely to fund proposals that can demonstrate that they'll complete CEQA within a year of the grant award. So that was kind of a detail that made this, I think, more likely to be funded and kind of steered us towards this property. But I would say most importantly, and in terms of kind of the relationship piece that you were mentioning, Lake RCD is growing tremendously right now, and focusing hard on trying to build the capacity of our forest health program. We hired a forester a couple months ago who's really hit the ground running, but I'm very keen to set up training opportunities and opportunities for her to work with landowners, to shadow other foresters and other forest health programs, in this case, Napa RCD. So through this partnership, we're going to be working super closely with Napa RCD every step of the way to kind of shadow their process in terms of financial and project management, working with contractor crews, overseeing the CEQA process, completing that compliance. And I think it stands to be an incredibly valuable training opportunity for our young program. And so I completely hear your concern related to kind of steering these public dollars towards a private property. But I think the way that I am approaching it is not only will we achieve some forest health benefits across 200 acres within Lake County, but we'll also set our forest health program up to be able to do this work more effectively elsewhere in the county, including working with more disadvantaged landowners on public lands and et cetera, et cetera. So that to me is the real kind of important thread through all of this. And it was really the reason that we opted to participate in this proposal. I don't think we would have the confidence, frankly, to have applied, or the capacity to have applied by ourselves in this current funding round, and are really grateful to Napa RCD for kind of bringing us along and setting us up to be a more effective program and organization when it comes to forest health and forestry work.
And just as a quick comment.
Well, no, she just had her hand up. Go ahead, Supervisor Pyska, and then Helen, then I'll let you. Okay.
So, we apply for millions of dollars every year for private properties. This isn't, in my mind, anything different than any of the CAL FIRE grants, any of there's a lot of grants that come in and that are just targeted for private property. Our county is half private property. And if we're ever going to achieve the goals of forest resilience, then we have to invest in private property. That's what these grants are for. That's what the CAL FIRE grants are for. If you wanted to look back on all of Clerk's work, it's all on private property. The public lands are owned by the state and the federal government, so our attention should be on private lands. And the fact that we're being brought along by Napa RCD to help build our capacity, I don't want to leave this money on the table. I don't want to say no to an opportunity like this. So I don't see how this is any different than any other project that we're working on for fuels management and forest management.
Did you, go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Just wanted to clarify, the two properties that Napa is looking at is the reservoir, which is publicly owned, and the regional park, which is publicly owned, correct?
Yeah, there's Lake Hennessy, Moore Creek Park, and Snowden Vineyards are the three properties that Napa will be focusing on.
that's
And
right,
those
there is the
together
vineyard.
constitute around 700 acres.
Yeah, I forgot about the vineyard. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Supervisor Owen?
Yes, are there, by chance, some public land?
Turn your microphone on. There you go. There you go.
Is it on?
No. There you go.
Thank you. Might there be some public land where this grant could be used as well to reduce the risk? I know that there's a lot of brush and public lands in the area as well. Have you looked at any of those?
Within the bounds of this particular proposal, not in this round. You know, this funding can be used to treat public lands, certainly, and that's something we would look to do in the future. But in terms of this specific proposal, the window for which closes a week from tomorrow, we really had focused on Six Sigma just because it was the place where we had the most momentum, and I think the most realistic shot that we had in terms of securing this funding in this particular round.
So was there
Certainly,
a reason that you did not look at public lands for it?
Sorry, I missed the first part of your question.
Was there reasons that you did not look at public lands for the use of this money?
We were not necessarily in the position of being able to, we don't currently have much of a relationship with Mendocino National Forest, for example. And in terms of other public lands in Lake County, we didn't have any project development work that we had already done that would have enabled us to arrive at this kind of proposal writing process ready to stand up a treatment plan and a prescription and all of that. We had a little bit of momentum already at Six Sigma, which is what enabled us to work with kind of the timeline that this application was coming together on. But we are in the process of, with other pots of funding that we've secured, looking to build our relationship with Mendocino National Forest and complete some work on public land. So we certainly are committed to that in general. But in terms of this specific proposal, we were focused, it was either Six Sigma or we likely weren't going to pursue it just because of the kind of limitations that we were looking at, both in terms of capacity and timeline.
And how long have you been working on it?
Since November, but obviously quite a few holidays in there that have made it challenging. And
Sure.
I'll mention that our new forester did start on November 10th or 12th. And so she's just been with us for less than a couple months and has been really integral to this whole process. So there's been a lot happening as we've been trying to pull this together. And worth mentioning that these applications are incredibly complex and require a lot of, there's just a lot of pieces. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Did you have another one, or Supervisor Sabatier, or?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open it up to the public, unless you had anything. No, I don't see anyone. I'll bring it back to the board. Matthew, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we've heard from Ms. Sullivan that this project was the one that best fit with the timeline for the grant application before us today. So it was this particular project that was more CEQA ready than some of the others, or none in Lake County's case for this particular cycle.
All right. With that, we'll go ahead and look for action.
I'll make a motion to approve letter of support for the public-private partnerships to improve forest health and resilience in Napa and Lake counties, Project CAL FIRE Forest Health Grant Program, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion carries 4-1. Next, looks like we have 7.4, which is a consideration and discussion of the Lake County Healthcare Initiative and Simulation Center letter of support for the Redwood Region RISE Catalyst Fund. And it looks like we have Mr. Ben Rickelman here to present this item.
Good morning, Board. Happy New Year. Ben Rickelman, Deputy County Administrative Officer. I'm here for a letter of support for the Redwood Region Rise Catalyst Fund, which is a $9 million fund set up by the state of California. It's a regional economic development collaboration initiative. Del Norte, Humboldt, Mendocino, and Lake are part of it. So the project itself is a workforce development center that would be next to Sutter Lakeside, which is currently a vacant office building. Has three main components. Student experiential center, so it would be middle and high school students, exposing them to the range of medical professions. So everything from kind of entry level, kind of mid-level lab work, and then kind of talking through the workforce pathways for the many different occupations. It'll have hands-on experience, so really get a feel of kind of all the different possibilities. The second part is working with the Office of Education and other, the three medical systems and other purveyors in the healthcare industry for kind of mid-level recruiting and training. So that's really important for Lake County. You can kind of recruit out a market for doctors, but like a blood technician, it's a stable, well-paying career, but it's kind of difficult to recruit someone from like 100 miles away. So it's a good way to provide solid employment for a field that's stable and growing. And we do have three medical systems here too, which is, I would say, fairly unique for a rural county. And then the third is community outreach. So this is like CPR classes, parenting, post-surgery. So it checks a lot of different boxes. I think it'll have fairly good odds of success of obtaining funding. Healthcare and workforce are two of the priorities of Redwood Region Rise. So yeah, there's a lot of different partners in this project. Three medical systems are heavily involved. Community colleges, Office of Education, the school districts are all engaged. So there's a lot of collaborative energy behind it. The Economic Development Corporation is taking the lead for the pre-construction phase. So looking for a letter of support from the board for the application for the funding.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I really appreciate this. I've seen this in a smaller model when it was called the Canocti Education Center, when it was a health magnet school, and a lot of the students that went through there and did a lot of job shadowing and internships, they still work at some of the local hospitals. And so I think getting that foot in the door is absolutely a future to a career. You said a specific, or you added an S to a specific word. You said community colleges, but I didn't see Woodland listed on the stakeholders and partners. Is that something that is continuously to be worked on, or is it because it's in the Sutter area that the workforce development building will be situated, that because of the line that delineates where Mendo is supposed to be for their students and where Woodland is supposed to be, that they're not included? Can you give me a little bit more clarification on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I guess I should have clarified on that. And there's been discussions with Woodland. So I would say the curriculum at Mendocino leans a little more in this industry than Woodland for their, at least their Lake County campus. That being said, there's been discussions with Woodland and how we integrate. I don't think they're an official partner yet, but we're definitely looking to continue engagement. And then regarding the geographic question, that's an issue just kind of for Lake County overall, traveling 50 minutes to the other side of the lake. So there's been discussions, there will be this physical location at Sutter Lakeside, but having classes in Clear Lake, especially with the middle school and high school engagement, and then some of the adult education, So I don't have definitive plans at the moment, but there's ongoing conversations how to have that geographic spread of services.
Right. And I think that that can be dealt with. I've seen it be dealt with before when even at the Health Magnet School, they would bus people to Sutter. So they were still working from Clear Lake to Sutter for their internships during school. So it's definitely something the schools can handle if that exists. Love that you're working with Woodland. They're obviously revamping with their new leadership. So I think I'm hopeful that those conversations continue and will come to leading their students to be a part of this as well.
Yeah, and they do have some preclinical courses and pathways, so I think there can be integration there. So yeah, connecting with the new leadership, which seems really engaged, I definitely see a path forward.
Thank you.
All right, Supervisor Rasmussen.
No questions. I just had a comment. I think there's a lot of positive benefits in this program to our county, particularly the work with students. So definitely highly support this.
Yeah, it fits in line with what we are constantly talking about, keeping people, well, actually allowing people from inside our county to fill these positions as the challenge goes on with us bringing folks in and then going through that cycle. So I'll go ahead and open it up for public input if there's anyone that wants to come up and comment about this, or if there's anyone on Zoom. All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the LCHISC letter of support.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ben, very much, and I'm sure we'll get that letter done today.
Thank you.
Let's see, what do you recommend?
Hi, Chair. Yes, we have Director Boré here if you wish to take up item 7.6.
So we will go ahead and take up 7.6. Authorize Special Districts Administrator Assistant Purchasing Agent to issue a purchase order not to exceed $560,000.00 to Energy Systems, Generac Industrial Power, and B, Special District staff effectively applied the federal procurement standards for the purchase of 11 standalone appropriately sized generators ranging from 30 kilowatts to 150 kilowatts capacity. And the floor is yours, Administrator Boré.
Good morning, board, staff, and residents. I'm Robin Boré with the Special Districts, and we received a grant from Cal OES for around $420,000, which is 75% of the cost of these 11 generators. And the local funds have been budgeted by each district. And these funds will put in standby generators permanent at each location for 8 lift stations and 3 wells, which during wildfires, other natural disasters, and planned power shutoffs will keep our critical infrastructure functioning. So our lift stations will continue to pump and our wells will continue to produce water. And so we are requesting that we get approval for the purchase of 11 generators. And these generators have been distributed based on need in all 3 different areas. So there's some going to Southeast, some to Kelseyville, and some to North Lakeport areas.
All right, any questions?
I just have one question, and I apologize if I missed it in the reports, but what would be the lifespan of the new ones once we get them in?
Generators, it depends on how much they're used and that kind of stuff, but I would expect for the next 10 years that they would be a reliable source. And we would continue to maintain them, so that adds to the longevity of them as well.
Thank you.
Might depend on how much you have to use it or not use it.
All right, I'll go ahead and open it up for the public if there's anyone that has comments on this item. Anyone on Zoom? And so we'll go on to B, or is that how, just want to make sure to check in or does it cover both?
Yeah, your board may cover both.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we authorize Special Districts Administrator Assistant Purchasing Agent to issue a purchase order not to exceed $560,000.00 to Energy Systems, generic industrial power, and B, special district staff effectively applied federal procurement standards for the purchase of 11 standalone appropriately sized generators ranging from 30 kilowatts to 150 kilowatt capacity.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Administrator. I keep saying Director, Administrator Bory.
I know, sounds funny.
I know. All right.
You may wish to attempt 7.5 of the advisory board appointments.
So we'll go ahead and take up item 7.5, consideration of the following advisory board appointments. Animal Control Advisory Board, Emergency Medical Care Committee, Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee, Hartley Cemetery District, Lake County Resource Conservation District, Library Advisory Board, Lower Lake Cemetery District, Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health Advisory Board, Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council, Spring Valley CSA Number 2 Advisory Board, and West Region Town Hall, Worth. And so,
You may wish just to go down the line based on the memo.
yes, I'll go ahead and let me pull this real quick. And then we
If I wanted to table the ones in my district till I got more information on them, is that appropriate? Or?
I think, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you know, it shouldn't be an issue when it comes to that, unless it's gonna, you know, like, one thing you have to consider is if it's going to, like, if there's no quorum for the committees that meet, I'm just.
Okay, and I just don't know enough about them yet.
Okay, no problem. But that's your prerogative and that's your discretion.
Thank you.
Chair, we can bring this back next Tuesday for Supervisor Owen if she wishes.
Yeah,
Please.
I think that,
As far as her items.
Yes.
right. Okay. And so did you have a comment?
No, just to be clear, right now, we're just talking about tabling any District 1 committees, is that correct?
Yes,
Appointments.
Or appointments, but we're going to move on with,
Yes.
okay.
So like, so we'll go through, the first one I have is animal control. There's 7 vacancies and there's, it says 7 vacancies, right? And there's 2 on here, and so I know that there's one from District 4 and one from District 3. So if you're willing to move on with that, I'm willing.
I'm very familiar with the District 4 candidate, and I support her in being assigned or appointed to that committee.
So I'll go ahead and open it up for public so that we can, if there's anyone that wants to comment on the Animal Control Advisory Board, please come up and if not, then we'll look on Zoom. No one on Zoom, so bring back to the board for action, and if someone can make, well, if you're gonna make the motion, Supervisor Rasmussen.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to that.
Just
report.
add my,
I'm sorry.
the one from District 3 if you can for me.
What was the item number again?
It's Janice Hornby would be your district.
And,
Janice Hornby for district.
and you wanted me to add yours?
Yeah, Lynn Carey Rana for District 3.
I'll make a motion to appoint Janice Hornby for District 4 position for animal control. And additionally, motion, what was the name again?
Lynn Carey Rana.
Lynn Carey Rana for District 3 appointment
Thank you.
For animal control?
for
Second.
animal control.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Emergency Medical Care Committees, and there's 6 vacancies. We have Ashley Giangrosso, incumbent, KT Nully, new applicant for ambulance alternate, and Janelle Rivera, new applicant for Adventist Clear Lake alternate. Any comments or any concerns on this, or any?
Those are all good members that are active or part of the active agencies on the EMCC.
All right. Any other comments from the board? And then I'll open it up for the public. All right. Bring it back to the board for action.
Move to approve Ashley Giangrosso, KT McNully, and Janelle Rivera to the Emergency Medical Care Committee as specified in their positions they'll be taken on in our memo.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Looks like we have next is the Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee. We have, is there any, for Fish and Wildlife, you mentioned something about one of these positions?
Justin Radcliffe
Mhm.
can come back. We can bring him back. He is filling out his application as we speak, and we can bring him back next.
So that would be for my district then?
Yes, it
and
is,
so we'll
sir.
bring that back next week?
Yes.
We do have an applicant, however, I know that Justin he's the incumbent and had filled this out, so. So with that, we'll do District 4, District 5, and the conservation position. Is there any comments from the board on this one? Anyone from the public? Anyone on Zoom? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board for action.
So I'll make a motion to appoint Richard Hinchcliffe for the District 4 Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee.
Oh,
Sec-
one second, you wanted to wait on to the District 5.
No, I'm
District
Oh,
1.
I'm
Jessica's district.
I got mine.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're doing these one at a time?
You can do all three of them.
Yeah, you
So
can do all three.
I will continue and make a motion that we appoint Stephen Mayfield from District 5 for the Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee, and additionally that we appoint Peggy O'Day for the Conservation slot on the Fish and Wildlife Committee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the Hartley Cemetery District, and we have 2 vacancies with Nancy Hudson, who is an incumbent, and Denise Ragan, new applicant. And I think Hartley's in your district, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm in support of both of these candidates. Do we have any public comment?
I'll open it to public and see if there's anyone that has any comments. And seeing none, is there any on Zoom? Don't see any on Zoom, so we'll bring it back to the board for action.
So I'll make a motion that we appoint Nancy Hudson and Denise Reagan to the Hartley Cemetery District positions.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries 500. Next, we have the Lake County Resource Conservation District, 4 vacancies, and we have 4 applicants: Mary Daly, Randall Craig, District 3, Mary Daly's District 1. Oh, so you wanted to wait on the District 1, so
Yeah.
so we'll just do Randall Craig from District 3 and Shula Shoop from District 2. And we'll continue the other 2 for next week. Any comments or statements on these? None? And anyone from the public? All right, seeing none from the public on Zoom or in the chambers, we'll go ahead and bring it back, and if someone can make this motion for me, I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Randall Craig for District 3 and Shula Shoop for District 2 for the Lake County Resource Conservation District.
Second. Sorry.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries 500. Next is the Lower Lake, Library, I don't know, I went down too fast. Library Advisory Board, that's what I get for making fun of you last time, Bruno. Library Advisory
Missed the
Board.
pet of the week so many times.
We have 5 vacancies: Janet Melton, Carl Porter, District 4, and Janet Melton's District 5, and then Robert Taylor from District 2, and we'll continue with the other applicant from District 1 until next week. Any comments or concerns, questions?
Mr. Chair, I would like to continue for District 2, and I will be seeking other applicants for the position.
All right, so it looks like we're doing 4 and 5.
I'm good with 5.
All right, so we'll go ahead.
I'm good with 4.
You're good with 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Anybody with a comment on this one for the Library Advisory Board? Not seeing anyone, so we'll bring it back to the board for action for District 4 and 5.
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Janet Melton for the Library Advisory Board District 5 and Carl Porter, Library Advisory Board District 4.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, aye. Aye.
You're
not opposed,
in
but
favor. All right.
I heard a weird whizzing sound.
It's
and
in the
it-
back.
Actually.
So I have any opposed? Any opposed? If there's none opposed, we have a 500. That motion passes. Next.
Apologize.
Now it's the Lower Lake Cemetery District. We have 1 vacancy, and we have Christine Flora from District 2. Supervisor Sabatier, you're good with that, or?
Good.
All right. Any comments from the public? I'll open it up for public input. Not seeing anyone, we'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Christine Flora to the Lower Lake Cemetery District under the membership of District 2.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Sorry about that, I move quick sometimes. And so the next one is Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health Advisory Board. 9 vacancies, and we have 3. Soledad Aguayo, Samantha Bond, and Nicole Carreri. Any comments or concerns on this one? All right, open it up for the public. Anybody in the public wish to comment on this? Not seeing any, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Soledad Aguayo, Samantha Bond, and Nicole Carreri to the Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health Advisory Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0-0. Next, we have the Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council, 3 vacancies, and we have 3 incumbents that reapplied: Jody Altick, Jared Hendricks, and Cornelia Sieber Davis.
And Scotts Valley is in my district, District 4, and I'm in support of all 3 of these candidates for reappointment.
All right. Hearing that, we'll open it up to the public and see if there's anyone that wishes to comment. All right, not seeing or hearing any, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
And with that, I will make a motion that the board appoint Jody Alec, Jared Hendricks, and Cornelia Cyber Davis to the Scotts Valley Municipal Advisory Council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Spring Valley CSA number 2 Advisory Board. We have 7 vacancies. Well, I do know we have 4 applications. And so we have James McDowell, Helen Mitchum, Edward Smith, and Cindy Stores. They've all been serving. I have no issues with them being reappointed. And so there's no comments from the board. I'll open it up to the public if there's any comments. All right, hearing and seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for action if someone can make this motion for me.
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint James McDowell, Helen Mitchum, Edward Smith, and Cindy Stores to CSA 2.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0-0. And let's see, now we have Western Region Town Hall, 4 vacancies, and we have 4 incumbents that reapplied: Thomas Acevis, Linda Alexander, Lisa Benavides, and Claudine Pedroncelli. I support all 4 of the reappointments, and if there's no comments from the board, I'll open it up to the public if there's anyone here that would like to speak. I see some of them in the audience. All right. I'll bring it back to the board for action. If someone can make this motion for me, I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve or appoint Thomas Acevis, Linda Alexander, Lisa Benavides, and Claudine
Pedroncelli.
Pedroncelli to the Worth Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. That gets us through all of the, well, majority of these. We'll bring back the others for next week, which would be some that were in District 1 and then Fish and Wildlife as well, right?
Yes. There should be some others coming in from my district too.
Okay. All right, with that, we will close this item. And yes, let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break. And we'll come back at 10:50. It's a little more than 5 minutes, but I'll just. All right. It's 10:52. We'll go ahead and cover another non-timed item. And we'll look at 7.7. Sitting as the Board of Directors, Lake County Watershed Protection District, consideration of the contract change order number 1 with Coleman Construction for 2024 levee patrol road gravel repair project, Upper Lake, California, bid number 25-0693 in the amount of $5,444, an increase of the total contract amount to $169,256.64, and authorize the chair to sign. Water Resources, it looks like we have Director Upadhyay and Linda Rosa's bill.
Yep. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so I will go to executive summary for this. Attached for the board's review and approval is the contract change order number 1 for subject project. This project generally consists of embankment repair of levee slopes and build-up of subgrade to approximately 0.30 miles of levees. Subgrade preparation, purchase, delivery, spread, and compaction of aggregate base to approximately 1.27 miles of levee patrol roads. Contract change order number 1 repairs deficiencies to 2 sites adjacent to the project area and provide additional rehabilitation to 0.05 miles, approximately 175 feet of levee roads. This is an increase of $5,444 to the contract price. Sufficient funds are available to pay the amended contract price.
All right, anything else to add, or no? Anything to add? I'm sorry. No. Anyone from the board want to speak? Supervisor Sabatier, go ahead.
I just have a quick question. Oh, sorry. I just have a quick question. What's the planned longevity of these levees after these repairs?
So because they're earthen levees, they're going to be needed again, so we're looking at maybe reviewing every 3 to 5 years to see what the conditions are.
Okay.
So that's the plan right now, and if we need to continue.
And did you have to go through, I don't believe you had to go through CEQA for the process?
Negative.
So the current cost that we have here may mimic future costs for future maintenance?
If we continue to get the CEQA exemption, yes.
Okay.
And just to add to that, I think this 1.27 miles is not like a continuous, it's like in total. So depending on it, this section which we repaired this year might be okay for next 5 to 10 years, but there might be other sections which we need repairs. So it's like an ongoing process.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, and I know that even though there was like a CEQA exemption, like you had mentioned, they still worked with the tribe. I know that we had a couple meetings with them.
Yes.
I know there's continuing discussion, so thank you for doing that. It's very important. So, all right, any other comments? Anyone from the public?
Good morning. Julia Carrera, Upper Lake, representing the Upper Lake Community Services District Formation Committee. Welcome, new board members. Congratulations. I just want to make a comment. Number one, thank you for doing some type of maintenance on the levees. Unfortunately, it wasn't in-channel maintenance, but we're grateful for anything we can get. Number two, I encourage both of you, as well as the board, to look at the aggregate resource management plan, which has not been followed for I don't know how long. We spent $92,000 on gravel, which could have been extracted from this levee system and all the other tributaries and streams that supply 90% of the road aggregate here in Lake County, according to the aggregate resource management plan. Hopefully that aggregate resource management plan is under review, Maria, with the Lake County 2050 plan. It talks about 90% of all roads, that all aggregate is coming from our creeks and levee systems, but that hasn't been followed. So this is a notice, please pay attention to it, Please bring it forth and please follow it. Thank you.
Anyone want to respond? No?
Yeah, I think that's one is like in general, like if we have the gravel availability, but because this is like a smaller project, so I don't know like how that would have impacted, but I think it's a good idea to keep that thing going.
Right, and you basically worked through the Fish and Wildlife and Water Resources permits and all of that. Okay, all right. So, all right. Any other comments from anyone in the chambers or on Zoom? All right. Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board for action. If someone can make the motion for me, I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve change order number 1 with Coleman Construction for 2024 Levee Patrol Road Gravel Repair Project in Upper Lake, California, bid number 25-0693, in the amount of $5,444, and an increase of the total contract amount to $169,256.64, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I think we can cover the other one. So 7.8, sitting as the Board of Directors, Lake County Watershed Protection District, consideration of resolution authorizing the Water Resources Director to sign a notice of completion for work performed under the agreement dated September 10th, 2024 for the 2024 Levee Patrol Road Gravel Repair Project, bid number 25-0693. Director Apadje.
So I will go for the executive summary for this one. On September 10, 2024, the board approved an agreement with Coleman Construction for repair of levee patrol roads. The work under this agreement was satisfactorily completed on October 25, 2024. Staff recommends that the Board of Directors approve the resolution authorizing the Water Resources Director to sign the notice of completion for the 2024 Levee Patrol Road Gravel Repair Project, bid number 25-0693, and authorize the chair to execute said resolution.
Any comments from the board? Anyone from the public? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Offer the resolution.
Resolution has been offered.
Second.
Oh, with the resolutions, we just offer it, and then she does a roll call.
If I get this right. Supervisor Owen,
Yes.
Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Oh, shoot, we're directors. Let me start over. Director Owen,
Aye.
Director Sabatier,
Aye.
4. Director Rasmussen.
Aye.
Okay. Director Pyska.
Yes.
And Director Crandall.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, the resolution has been passed 5-0-0. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Next, we will go to our timed item, which is our 11 o'clock. There we go. It's 6.9, presentation of code enforcement, illegal dumping abatement grant activities, continued from December 17th, 2024. Will be coming up and conducting this presentation. I see Director Turner and staff. I'll let her introduce her staff. I also have, this can go after you're finished. Yeah. Thank you. That's for after the presentation. We'll go through the slides, some other slides. They're just, I'll explain.
Yeah, that one.
To say good morning. Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. We are excited to give you two different presentations and updates today. This first one will be on our illegal dumping abatement grant activities. Our Deputy Administrator, Shannon Walker-Smith, works very closely in support of our Code Enforcement Division, and so I will defer to both her and our Code Enforcement Manager, Marcus Beltramo.
Good morning, Happy New Year, and welcome to our new supervisors. New start. Thank you to Supervisor Crandall for inviting this presentation about a grant that we received mid last year from state agency called CalRecycle, and it's focused on illegal disposal or illegal dumping. So it's an area of code enforcement that we haven't had the resources to really focus on in the past. We wrote this grant and it was awarded. So we have identified through that grant application process 42 sites that we will be abating between now and June 30th of 26. So about a year and a half left of this grant, and we're really getting into the swing of things now in the beginning of 25. So this is just a short presentation to kind of give you guys an overview of where we're at. Oops. So this, combating illegal dumping in Lake County has been a persistent problem over many years, and it finally materialized that we have some funding to focus in on that. There's some pictures littered into this presentation just to give you an idea of what we see when we go out, especially into isolated areas where people tend to drive back in and dump garbage. And so this is a recent photo of a site that was identified as part of this grant. The grant is for $250,000. We did quite a bit of work identifying the sites and getting them approved through the funder, and we are committed to those 42 sites unless we should go out to reassess and find that one miraculously got cleaned up on its own or by a community member. Then we would be able to replace that site in the future. But for now, we're committed to the 42 sites we submitted under the grant application. And we're going to start with our niche sites that we identified and then kind of work our way around the lake. And so the abatement work for the first section of the niche sites will begin shortly. Actually, we're pretty much ready to roll on those abatements, so that's going to begin. In addition to just the abatement work, this grant also has built in a public education piece, so we'll be creating PSAs and just getting out some public education, letting community residents know about what their resources are for other options for getting rid of their trash and garbage. And there's also a bit of money for prevention measures like barricades and lighting and signage to help prevent those sites from becoming a dump site in the future.
Shannon, I have a question. Are these vacant lots that you've targeted?
The large majority of them are vacant lots. There were a couple of properties that were identified as part of the grant that were just kind of long-standing abatements that met the criteria for this grant, but they have been out of our scope in the past. So there are a few where we have identified the property owner, and we will go to, lien after the abatement is completed. But for the majority of these are...
and these are up in the paper subdivisions?
Many of them are, yeah.
Okay.
This is a before and after photo from work done previously. This is an example of an illegal dumping site that we will... That's the cleanup. Want to recognize our code enforcement program supervisor, Norman, or Joey Valdez. He's taking the lead on this grant activities. 25% of his time will now be supported by this grant funding for the next year and a half. And he did all of the work really to identify the original sites, and he'll take the lead on all the grant activities going forward, along with our code technician, Janet Garcia Mora. And I'm going to hand it over to Marcus and Joey if he wants to speak as well about our next steps.
I just want to add some clarification. That chart that you saw up there, that's just the first phase. So we have them in phases. So the first phase is going to be those lots and those hills up in the Nice areas. That's where we decided to start. And then we'll work clockwise around the lake and hit all those areas that have been undisturbed in the past. But as far as procedurally, we're just going to go through our normal processes. If it is on property, private property, or property that has a responsible owner, they will be notified. Notices will be issued, and then we'll go through our codified abatement procedures. So it's just going to be standard procedure as soon as after the properties have been identified, and so we'll go through the due process procedures, and then we'll go through the abatement procedures, and then we'll get a warrant if there's not cooperation or consent from a property owner to allow us to abate the property, and consent to the fact that a lien will be attached to the property later. So it'll be standard procedures as we move forward. And this is a big task, 42 properties over, it's 2 years, but really we're about a year and a half. So you're looking about 2 to 3 properties a month that we'll be abating and cleaning up. And again, these are properties, I want to reemphasize, these are properties that we have been aware of, but we just didn't have the resources, the money, and the time to actually go ahead and get these cleaned up. So these are, I would say in all essence, the worst of the worst.
I have a question.
Supervisor Owen?
Yes, do you have them broke down as in how many properties